All right, everybody, it's your boy Genius. I am out at the range, as I always am. Yeah, I'll tell you a little something about that. I have had people in the comment section say, why do you film some of these videos you could do at home or whatever out at the range? You know, it's kind of this or that. It's weird. You could have done that at home, or you said it was raining or something. Well, my wife doesn't feel comfortable with me, you know, divulging too much of what's at the house, you know, like doing a whole lot of content at home. I do sometimes in the room and you know, in my safe room, if you will, which used to be my daughter's room converted, so it's still painted yellow. But I come out to the range because this is my place of solitude, if you will. I come out here, like I said, I smoke a cigar. You know, sometimes I'll read my Bible and pray, especially in the fall of the year. And so I come out to the range to do these types of things. Of course, even if I was at home, I could not bring or have or try to showcase in hand all of these different guns that I'm going to talk about. Of course, I can't transport them, or I don't want to transport them, you know, 30 minutes to my range. So I'm going to talk about these guns today, and I'm going to try my best to pull some pictures or maybe some past footage to put up of each one of the guns. But having just done a video on 5 best striker fired, in my opinion, again, my opinion, guns that I carry, maybe it doesn't fall in line with what all the other tubers say, but it's the 5 that I carried. I had quite a few people in the comment section say, well, what about hammer fired? You know, I like hammer fired. I'm kind of intrigued by that. You know, what is your 5 best hammer fired? And then, you know, what is your 5 best micro compacts or your 5 best revolvers? You know, just all these different. So I figured I would compile a list of those as well. And some of them was more difficult for me than were others. The striker fired, obviously being the most popular for most folks, was the easiest for me. The hammer fired is pretty easy too, because I still do carry hammer fired guns a lot. And you know, the revolver was a little bit more difficult because I kind of see the revolver as more of a backup. And the micro compact, I see them more as kind of like backups too in a lot of cases. So when I did the striker fired, I kind of kept it in the subcompact category because that's what I carry. But today I'm going to talk about the 5, what I believe to be the 5 best hammer fired pistols that you can choose for EDC, or, you know, again, in my opinion, what I choose. You know, I've been handling firearms for now what would be, giving away my age, about 30 years. And if you count, you know, as a child, with my, you know, with my dad or whatever, longer than that really. Okay, so I think I have a pretty good handle on what I like and what I do or perform the best with. Before I get started with the list, as always, I want to make sure I invite everyone to know Jesus Christ as their Savior. If you do not, you know that you can reach out to me at gsquaredtactical@gmail.com and allow me to share the good news, the great news of the gospel of Jesus Christ with you. Make sure that you know for an absolute fact, if you were to pass on from this life to the next, this very moment, that you would go to heaven. And I can tell you how you can know that if you reach out to me in the comment section, but preferably, you know, at the email, because I'm subject to missing it in the comment section, and I certainly don't want to do that. You can also support Amanda and I if you appreciate what we do, you like what we do. Certainly we don't get paid. We're not shilling for anyone, and even if we did get free guns, we still wouldn't be shilling for anyone. So we can take any support that you can offer by clicking on the link in the corner of the screen to take you over to Patreon. You can support us monthly over there, $5, $10, $20, $30 a month. Put all the videos over there. You can also go to our website by clicking on the link in the corner of the screen at gsquaredtactical.com. Pick up some merchandise. You can also click on the 3 lines in the left-hand corner of the screen. When the screen pops down, it'll say support the channel. It's pretty self-explanatory after that. So, what is your favorite EDC, you know, hammer-fired guns? Well, everyone knows that, you know, obviously, I'm a big CZ guy, a big CZ fan. And so I've compiled my list here. I wrote them down so I can reference them, although I do mostly have them memorized because I wrote them down from memory. But, you know, when I get in front of the camera, sometimes I get a little tongue-tied or twisted. But the first one I wrote down was the CZ P07 Duty, okay? Now, right in line with that, if you prefer red dot, if you prefer some more aggressive serrations, maybe a more aggressive texturing on your grip, you can also get the CZ P09C, which is basically the P07, just optic ready with a different slide, serration setup, and also a different texturing on the grip. I can go either way. I said the P07 because it was my first CZ, was the P07 Duty. Love that gun, carry it often. But on those days that I want to carry with an optic, mostly in the winter time, I do get the P09C out as well. Great option also. Again, just for me, it's about the reliability. It just is. CZ has always been, outside of HK, my most reliable. HK and CZ, I've never had a failure out of any of them. I know it's going to happen one day and it's going to hurt my little feelings, but as of yet, just super reliable firearms. Great triggers on those guns, super accurate, makes you the shooter that you might not be. That's just been my experience and been the experience of most people that I've handed any CZ gun to. So again, first P07 Duty or P07 or the CZ P09C. Okay, second on the list, and this is one that I love so much that I actually had the G Squared logo engraved into the lower on it, and that would be my CZ P01. Okay, that's basically a compact CZ75. The CZ P01, or of course also you could go with the Shadow 2 Carry or Shadow 2 Compact. Compact doesn't have a drop safety, so probably better to go with the Carry because it is essentially the same gun, again, just cut for an optic and a few little variations in the way that it looks, but it's essentially the same gun. So the P01 or the Shadow 2 Carry, okay, would be my second choice. Again, that is a little higher priced one. Now, if anyone comes at me talking about, man, what about the Staccato, or what about, listen, I'm trying to keep things reasonable here for the average everyday person that's going in to buy a gun that they prefer hammer fired, that they can actually afford, and they don't have to counsel with their banker to go out and buy, okay? The Carry is probably the most expensive on this list. The Shadow 2 Carry is, again, it comes in around the $1,200 price range. That's why I said the CZ P01, because in most cases you can pick it up for $600, $700, maybe depending on where you're at in the country, $800, and it's basically the same gun outside of being, again, optic ready and a few little small, inconsistencies between the two of them. Okay, but get you the CZ P01, you won't regret it at all. All right, third on the list. Again, I'm just showcasing the guns, past footage if I have them. Some of it I don't have, but I'm trying to conserve ammunition. You just wanted to know which ones I chose. I'm not going to sit here and go through a full breakdown of all the reasons why I chose it or why I love it or why I choose to carry it, because again, the video would be way too long for that. These are just my top picks for ones that I carry often in the hammer fired platform. Okay, third on the list, I'm not even sure if this one is still available, honestly. Maybe the 9mm, but certainly not the 40 S&W version of it. But I do carry the 40 S&W version of it. In fact, I've done a video saying that it was or is the most accurate, reliable 40 cal I've ever owned, okay? And that would be the HK P2000 SK, okay? They made it in 9mm. They made it also in a 40. Again, I'm certain that they don't make the 40 anymore. I'm not sure about the 9mm. They may not make it at all, but it doesn't change the fact that when it comes to hammer fired guns and what I carry, it's on the list. It's one that I carry quite a bit. I've done a video on it not too long ago. Again, you have the legendary H&K quality, the build, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. I believe, I'm not going to say that's my authority, don't question my authority kind of thing, but I almost want to say that about H&K. There's no gun that's tested, put through the ringer, and built better, in my opinion, than any H&K, all right? So it's just a legendary. Does it have the best trigger? No, but it's got a better trigger than most HKs do, all right? But it's super accurate, super reliable. It's got nice capacity for a smaller gun, very concealable, feels very nice in the hand. It's not the VP9 grip. It's just a good gun. If you can get your hands on one, they don't make it anymore. If they don't make the 9, I don't think they make it anymore at all. So if you can get your hands on one, find one in good condition that's used, I recommend you picking it up. You will not regret it, okay? So the HK P2000 SK 9mm or 40 S&W. Mine is the 40 S&W. Okay, so we're gonna go with a little bit larger one here, okay? This is not a gun that I carry very often at all, but going through my safe and looking at all the hammer fired guns saying, okay, which one of these am I going to carry? Okay, I'm not going to carry this big old Alpha Foxtrot, you know, full size, government size, double stack 1911. I'm not going to carry that. So I'm going to say, which one of these would I carry? Okay, and then I got through the first 3, which are relatively small, very carryable, concealable guns. I got down to the 4th one and I'm like, okay, well, what else do I sometimes carry in here that I could put on this list that's very reliable? You know, again, very accurate, great build quality. And what I came up with was the FNX 45. If you like the tactical, that seems a little bit over the top bulky for me for everyday carry, but whatever. I would just personally choose, if I was carrying it on my person, just the standard 45 FNX tactical, I'm sorry, the FNX 45 non-threaded barrel, just the standard FNX 45. And I do carry that gun sometimes in the winter if I have a lot of bulky clothes on. If it's really cold and I'm wearing a big jacket or something, I do feel comfortable with that gun. It has a decocker. You know, you can decock the gun, you can carry it cocked and locked. You can carry it with the hammer down, safety off, pull from a double action, double single action, great trigger on the gun. Actually, one of the few FNs that has a decent trigger. Most of them are bad until you put a couple thousand rounds through it, but it's the reliability. It's built like a tank. It'll eat literally anything. Just a great, great gun. Like one of the 7 wonders, someone told me. I don't know, but I do like the FNX 45. God's caliber, I guess I'm getting to the old FUD side of me that still does like to occasionally carry, you know, a 45 ACP like the Glock 36. And so getting down to number 5, I put a lot of thought into this, but again, it had to be ones that I carry, okay? It just had to be. It couldn't be one that is like, well, I would carry that, but I don't know. All of these that I chose are guns that I actually do alternate with and have carried in recent history, okay? So, you know, what list would be complete in the hammer-fired category without a 1911? Now, with that said, I don't think I've ever carried a full-size 1911. A government size 5-inch 1911. I love them. I love them. I've had them on my nightstands. I've had them in my truck out in the woods, but I've never EDC'd one. I can say that pretty confidently, all right? But there is a 1911 that at one time, I haven't in quite some time, but at one time I EDC'd a lot, okay? And I do mean a lot. And that was my 3-inch. It might actually be 3.25, but I think it's listed as a 3-inch, Sig Sauer, 1911, two-tone, black and silver, with the wood grips on it. Just a beautiful, beautiful gun. And again, super accurate, super reliable. Say what you want about SIG. That is a fantastic firearm. But I would say any 3-inch 1911 that's reliable, that you're comfortable with, we'll just leave it at that. For me personally, it's the 3-inch 1911 Sig Sauer. I would carry, you know, a 4-inch maybe, but given that it is an all metal gun, you know, they do have a tendency to want to dig a little bit more, especially if they don't have that, what do they call it, the bob cut or bobtail cut or something. They do have a tendency to print and dig a little bit more. So For a 1911, it's going to have to be a 3-inch if I'm going to carry it, and I have EDC'd that gun a lot, all right? And it was a big toss-up because I wanted to get the 1911 in there, so the one that I was struggling with as a honorable mention was between the FNX 45 and the other honorable mention, which for me would specifically be the A1 M11, I believe is what it's called. I could be screwing that all up, but it's the 6-hour, basically the P229, okay? Legendary in its own right. Been around for a long time. I'm pretty sure it's a gun that the Navy SEALs carried at one point in time. Maybe they still do, I'm not sure. But it is a fantastic gun, okay? But for me, I went with the FN in the top 5, and the honorable mention is a 229 because, you know, it is a great gun, and I knew that folks would. It's M11A1. Maybe that's what it is. And I knew I would screw it up if I didn't have it written down. But that's the one I have, is the M11A1 P229. So a little bit old school. It's not optic ready, but it is a fantastic, one of the few hammer fired SIGs that I can actually shoot incredibly well with. And so it does get an honorable mention. So those are my top 5 honorable mentions, the 229. Fight with me in the comment section about it. That's fine. Let me know what your thoughts are. I enjoy having conversations with you folks. It is free to hit the thumbs up. It's free to subscribe. And that helps us more than anything else. It even helps more than monetary support. So make sure you subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. And as always, on this day that the Lord has made, to God only be the glory.